People will hate Caitlin Clark for any reason and make it about race.
We got Caitlin, we got Paige, we got Juju. Who do you think will shine the brightest?
Well, that's exactly why I'm not picking Caitlin Clark.
Matt, that girl Juju, she is the real deal.
Juju Watkins ain't the same as Caitlin Clark. Playing in Los Angeles at USC is not the same as playing at Iowa. Well, Caitlin Clark was in Iowa, in the middle of nowhere. So she built a huge following right there in the state of Iowa, her home state.
Juju Watkins was supposed to be the next big thing in women's basketball. A rising star, dominating the court with ease, until one thing changed everything. The comparisons to Caitlin Clark.
And Juju is a bigger baller than Caitlin Clark.
They will regret that they took Caitlin Clark number 1.
ESPN exposed again. Ratings down 22%. Attendance down 30%. No Caitlin Clark effect, no dice.
It's not racism that's keeping everybody in Los Angeles away from Juju Watkins basketball games. You have to dominate at home.
Caitlin is a supernova, and Juju probably is a better player.
Support Juju the way y'all supported Caitlin Clark. If you don't, you're racist. It's not fair.
Instead of embracing the challenge, Watkins seemed to take it personally, fueling a rivalry that may have cost her more than just headlines. With jealousy clouding her judgment, her actions on and off the court have sparked controversy, making fans question if she's sabotaging her own career.
Yo, man, we should be talking about her the way we talked about Caitlin Clark last year.
Juju gets covered all the time. I cover Juju. I talk about Juju. It's great for the game. The idea that Juju and Paige have not been covered is just false.
Juju Watkins' talent was undeniable. She had the speed, the agility, the confidence, everything a young player needed to carve out a legendary career. But talent alone isn't always enough in professional sports. What sets apart the greats from the merely good isn't just skill, it's mindset, discipline, and how they handle competition.
And Juju is a bigger baller than Caitlin Clark. I said it.
I said
it.
Yeah.
I said it. And it has nothing to do with black and the white. The statistics say what everybody needs to be knowing. Juju is a better athlete than Caitlin Clark.
Show us the stats that you're referencing. I mean, come on.
And when Caitlin Clark entered the scene, it was clear Watkins wasn't ready for what came next. From the moment Caitlin Clark started breaking records and taking over the national conversation, something shifted in Juju's demeanor. The praise Clark received, the media attention, the endorsements, it was everything Watkins likely envisioned for herself.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball. Period.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
And yet the spotlight was shining elsewhere. Instead of staying focused on her own game, she became visibly frustrated, her emotions showing in ways that made it clear the comparisons were getting to her. Fans noticed it, analysts picked up on it, and social media exploded with debates about whether she was handling the pressure the right way. The thing about rivalries in sports is that they can either push a player to greatness or break them entirely.
ESPN notes that the viewership for the first round was up 43% from 2023, with an average of 257,000 people watching the first 2 days, but it leaves out the record-breaking viewership from last year, where viewership averaged 469,000 in the 2024 first round. That number was boosted by a whopping 3.2 million tuning into Caitlin Clark and Iowa's 91-65 win over Holy Cross. The difference between this year and last year represents a nearly 22% drop. ESPN is literally scared. They can't stand Caitlin Clark.
Some of the most legendary players in history have used competition as fuel, turning every slight, every criticism into motivation to get better. But in Watkins' case, it seemed like the constant comparisons to Clark were doing the opposite. Rather than taking it as a challenge, she reacted emotionally, feeding into the narrative that she couldn't handle the heat.
Needle mover in women's basketball, college or pro, is Caitlin Clark.
One moment in particular sent shockwaves through the basketball world. A simple interview question about Clark's success led to a response from Watkins that many interpreted as dismissive, even bitter. She downplayed Clark's achievements, subtly implying that the hype was overblown. But the problem? Clark wasn't just hype. She was backing up every headline with record-breaking performances.
Women's March Madness attendance drops 30%. Attendance for the opening rounds of the Women's March Madness dropped from record numbers seen the previous 2 years when Caitlin Clark spiked interest in the tournament while leading Iowa to consecutive Final Fours. What the hell happened to 2024? Where's those numbers? Why are you not talking about it? We know why, because they don't want to come out and just admit the ratings are real down without Caitlin Clark.
And every time Watkins failed to match up, the gap between the two only widened. This wasn't just about stats. This was about perception. And in sports, perception is everything. A player can be incredibly skilled, but if they come across as bitter or unable to handle competition, it can tarnish their reputation faster than any loss on the court.
Whether you like the Indiana Fever or not, whether you like Caitlin Clark or not, it has gotten to the point where we can no longer deny the fact that they are the biggest draw in the WNBA, and they proved that all of last season.
With every reaction, every interview, and every emotional outburst, Watkins was slowly damaging her image, making it harder for fans to root for her and easier for critics to tear her down. At a time when she needed to be focused on proving herself, she was instead caught up in the noise.
That girl, that young lady y'all got at USC right now, Juju.
Incredible.
Hey, I tell all them bitter, angry girls in the WNBA who are upset about Caitlin Clark, move over more, because Juju is special. Number one, I want to give a shout out to Caitlin to what she's did for women basketball the last 3 years, man. It's been incredible. And I wish those women would embrace it. But, Matt, that girl, Juju, she is the real deal.
She's going to be bigger than Caitlin Clark. And I don't even know if that's possible for what Caitlin Clark has done for women's basketball.
And as the comparisons to Caitlin Clark grew louder, one question loomed over her career. Was she letting jealousy get the best of her? The moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court, she wasn't just playing basketball, she was redefining it. Every game, every shot, every record she shattered made it impossible to ignore her.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlin Clark games. I would have had two packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say, 15 to 18 game Caitlin Clark package.
And that's where the problem began for Juju Watkins. The media loves a rivalry, and as Clark's dominance became undeniable, the inevitable comparisons started rolling in. But instead of rising to the occasion, Watkins seemed to crack under the weight of it all. Clark's journey to the top wasn't just about talent. It was about resilience, work ethic, and a relentless drive that made her impossible to outshine.
Juju Watkins suffered a horrific injury. I haven't seen any Caitlin Clark fans talking negatively. I wish I could say the same for fans of Juju Watkins. Caitlin Clark did officially put out a statement on Juju Watkins. Fantastic statement. But somehow, some way, people that can't stand Caitlin Clark are now turning this into something it's not. They will find any reason to try to bring this young lady down.
She wasn't just putting up big numbers. She was leading her team, making history, and earning respect from every corner of the basketball world. Meanwhile, Watkins found herself in an increasingly uncomfortable position. She had talent, yes, but was she prepared to handle the kind of expectations that came with being compared to a generational talent like Clark?
Juju, a Los Angeles native, is widely considered one of the best players in the country, if not the best, and was just 54 points shy of breaking Kelsey Mitchell's all-time record for most points among Division I women over her first 2 seasons. She had already outscored Caitlin Clark through 2 seasons, who holds the record for a D1 career on the women's side, as we know.
The pressure became evident in her performances. With every Clark highlight that went viral, the scrutiny on Watkins grew stronger.
The league wasn't ready for her last year. They just weren't prepared.
Yeah.
She was prepared.
She's had a full offseason now to rest.
No. She's going to be great. The league just didn't know what to do.
Fans weren't just watching her games. They were dissecting every move, every reaction, every post-game interview. And that's where things took a turn. Instead of letting her game do the talking, Watkins started making comments that only fueled the fire.
Sold out games after game after game. She had a connection with those people that was special. She carried that connection and that fan base to the WNBA. She dominated. Oh, she's being denied something. That y'all better treat her like Caitlin Clark. So how can we treat her like Caitlin Clark? She's in a different body of water. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp both played the card of, we should be talking about Juju Watkins the same way we talked about Caitlin Clark.
Whether it was subtle jabs at Clark's style of play or dismissive responses to questions about the comparisons, it all added up to one undeniable truth. She was struggling to accept Clark's success. Social media played a massive role in amplifying this narrative. Fans picked up on every little moment, turning them into viral clips, memes, and debates.
All they can think to do is infer, insinuate racism, just claim racism. Ratings explode.
Every time Clark broke another record, the comment sections flooded with questions about Watkins. Why wasn't she achieving the same?
LA is racist. They just won't support Juju Watkins. LA, did they support Kobe Bryant? Did they support Magic Johnson? Yes, they did. The explanation is deeper than racism.
Was she as dedicated? Did she have the same killer instinct? And most importantly, could she ever reach the level Clark was playing at? These weren't just random questions from fans. They were the kinds of doubts that, once planted, can follow a player for their entire career.
Caitlin Clark has taken women's college basketball by storm. It's because she's white, and all of her fans are white, and they're all racist.
The biggest mistake Watkins made wasn't falling short of Clark's numbers. It was how she reacted to the comparisons. Instead of embracing the challenge, she let the frustration show. And in sports, perception is everything. Fans respect players who handle adversity with grace, who use competition as fuel rather than as an excuse. But with every dismissive comment, every moment of visible frustration, Watkins was giving the public a reason to doubt her mindset.
She has to be so phenomenal that 10, 12, 15,000 people are coming to her games in Los Angeles. Juju Watkins is in LA. There's a lot to do in Los Angeles. She should have gone somewhere where she could be the big fish in the small pond. Who knows if she's better than Caitlin Clark? She plays a game that's more female Kobe Bryant than female Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark is female Steph Curry.
At the heart of it all was one undeniable reality. Caitlin Clark wasn't just setting the bar, she was changing the game. And for someone like Watkins, who once envisioned herself as the face of the future, that was a hard pill to swallow. But the worst part, she wasn't just losing the battle on the court, she was losing the battle in the minds of fans, analysts, and even potential sponsors. In professional sports, the mental game is just as important as physical ability. And while Caitlin Clark was proving she had both, Watkins was showing cracks in her ability to handle the spotlight.
I mean, I'd be lying if I told you that I wasn't rattled, seeing Juju on the floor and crying.
From a human perspective, watching Juju Watkins in pain like that, it was gut-wrenching. It really was just a devastating moment. She floats, she flies. Watching her move on the court and then go down in pain like that is devastating.
The question now wasn't just whether she could compete with Clark, it was whether she could recover from the damage she was doing to her own career. Juju Watkins' biggest downfall wasn't just the comparisons to Caitlin Clark, it was how she allowed those comparisons to define her narrative. The more Clark dominated, the more Watkins seemed to struggle with the weight of expectations. But what made matters worse was the way she handled the spotlight.
Stephen A., the way she can put the ball on the floor, get to the rim, Euro step, one leg, three-point shot, mid-range shot, and she can play outstanding defense. She'll sit in the chair. She can block shots. She can slide. Stephen A., she is as polished as a basketball player as that we've seen at the women's level.
Juju,
absolutely.
I'm telling you that right now. She is the package.
Juju's done great, but her stats actually do not measure up to Caitlin Clark's stats.
Instead of using the comparisons as motivation, she seemed to let them consume her, creating a downward spiral that only hurt her career. The media, fans, and even analysts picked up on something undeniable.
Like, Caitlin Clark doesn't happen entirely organically. There's a push. What Angel Reese did, she created what people truly need, which is a rivalry.
Angel Reese has done that and did that for Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. And I do think she helped. Without Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark wouldn't be as big as she is.
Caitlin Clark also blew up before the Angel Reese thing. That is a myth. She blew up before. Go look at the ratings for the games before then. Go look at the attendance for the games before then. It was already an organic thing.
Watkins wasn't just trying to prove herself as a great player. She was trying to prove she was better than Clark. And that was the mistake. The more she focused on competing with Clark off the court, through words and attitude rather than pure performance, the more she distanced herself from being a true competitor. Instead of carving out her own legacy, she allowed Clark's success to dictate her responses, her demeanor, and even her game. One of the clearest examples of this was how she handled interviews and social media interactions.
Juju Watkins suffered a torn ACL in the first quarter of the Trojans' win over Mississippi State. She will undergo surgery, bringing an end to her illustrious sophomore season.
Caitlin Clark put this out, sending all my thoughts and prayers to Juju. Kid will come back stronger than ever with a big red heart. Those are great words. 1.2 million people have seen this already, but people cannot have it. They cannot let Caitlin Clark have peace.
Every time Caitlin Clark made history, there was an immediate wave of reactions. Some players congratulated her, acknowledging her greatness. Others stayed silent, choosing not to engage. But Watkins, she couldn't hide her frustration. Whether it was subtle eye rolls, dismissive statements, or avoiding the topic altogether, it became clear.
Kid, ? And this one gets vile. You bitch, don't ever call Juju a kid. Y'all are 3 years apart. Fuck Caitlin Clark. I think Juju will have a problem with you calling her kid.
Clark's rise wasn't just another player's success story to her. It was personal, and fans noticed. They saw the lack of sportsmanship, the unwillingness to give credit where it was due. Instead of earning their respect, she started losing it. What she failed to realize is that sports fans love rivalries, but they also love humility. They love players who can compete at the highest level while still acknowledging greatness in others.
Is everything about race and color? As a person of color, referring to someone as kid is usually done by an elder, like generations older, or said by someone in your generation, but in a belittling way, as if you are trying to, quote, son you.
Instead of leaning into the natural competitive spirit of the game, Watkins let jealousy take center stage. This attitude wasn't just affecting public perception, it was affecting her game. The more she let the Clark comparisons bother her, the more inconsistent her performances became. The pressure to prove she was just as good, or better, led to forced plays, bad shots, and mental lapses that didn't go unnoticed. Commentators began questioning whether she had the mental toughness to thrive under the spotlight. And in a world where perception shapes opportunity, those doubts could cost her everything.
Kid? ? Saying that on the net is so crazy. What are you talking about?
Even endorsements started to shift. Caitlin Clark wasn't just winning on the court, she was becoming a brand. Companies wanted to be associated with her because she represented excellence, resilience, and a winning mentality.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
Watkins, on the other hand, was struggling to maintain the same appeal. Why? Because companies don't just invest in skill, they invest in image. And an athlete who seems bitter about another's success isn't the kind of figure brands want to champion. Perhaps the most damaging part of all this was the growing divide between Watkins and the fans.
Maybe Juju will be better than Caitlin one day. But right now, Caitlin as a senior, Juju as a freshman. To me, Caitlin is on another level, and that's no slight to Juju.
Basketball isn't just about stats. It's about connection. It's about inspiring the next generation, earning respect, and creating moments that live beyond the game. Clark was doing that effortlessly. Watkins, however, was letting negativity define her journey. The irony in all of this? She had the talent to be great, but talent alone isn't enough in today's game.
It's absolutely devastating to see the injury to Juju Watkins and to see her in pain. She is so talented, so skilled. She moves so effortlessly. But even when you think about off the court, how much she has done for the community and for LA and how much she loves the game and how much she gives to the game and to her team, it's just devastating. Juju is tough. She's so talented, skilled, athletic, tough, physical. Like she just embodies what it means to be a hooper. And you watch her go down, and it's not dramatic when you say it's devastating.
Yes.
It felt deflating and it felt devastating.
The best players understand that mindset, sportsmanship, and composure matter just as much as points on the board. And until Watkins realizes that, she won't just be losing to Clark, she'll be losing to herself.
You not that much older than her. Why you trying to son her? That's stupidity on a whole new level. That's what you people took out of this.
At the end of the day, Juju Watkins had every opportunity to carve out her own path, to build her own legacy, and to let her game speak for itself. But instead of focusing on what made her great, she let the comparisons to Caitlin Clark consume her. The jealousy, the frustration, the unwillingness to acknowledge greatness, it all became part of her downfall. Instead of thriving under pressure, she crumbled. Instead of embracing competition, she made it personal.
If Juju was allowed to come out in a draft, Fever they will regret that they took Caitlin Clark number 1. If they match up in a tournament, 1,000% Juju going to pick her up full court.
And in doing so, she alienated fans, hurt her own brand, and cast doubt on her ability to truly rise to the occasion. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark kept doing what she does best, winning games, winning hearts, and winning the respect of the entire basketball world. She didn't have to engage in petty rivalries or try to tear anyone else down. She simply showed up, put in the work, and let her dominance speak for itself.
Don't you realize these black girls all paved the road that she's traveling, that these black women built the WNBA, that these black women carried women's basketball, and now all the racists love women's basketball because they're racist and they have Caitlin Clark. Just not true.
And that's why she's the face of women's basketball. Watkins still has a chance to turn things around, but the clock is ticking. In sports, perception can shape reality. And right now, the reality is clear. She's losing the battle both on and off the court. Unless she shifts her mindset, embraces humility, and focuses on her own journey instead of Clark's, her career may never recover from this. The choice is hers.